Hi guys, it's Allie and it is week 3 of NaNoWrimo. I am getting a super late start to the morning today. Usually I am up and about by like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock tops, but today it is 11:30 and I am just now sitting down to start recording. So it is Tuesday as usual, so I do have dance later today. I have to leave for that at around 2:30 as always, so I definitely have a lot to get done in a very short amount of time. So let's just quickly go through this past week because it's been a doozy. Last time we spoke, I had just gotten back on track with the recommended word count for that day in NaNoWrimo. I managed to do that. That was great. It was a very fun video. I titled it Catching Up on My Word Count or something very similar, and it's now a week later and I am behind again. So I wrote almost 3,000 words on that last Tuesday, and I told you guys in the previous video that I had pretty much wrapped up that little section of the book, and that was great. But what happens when I finish a segment like that is that I get a mini version of that kind of blank page conundrum where I suddenly have no idea where I'm going from there. Usually I like to end my writing sessions in the middle of a chapter, in the middle of a scene, in the middle of something, so that I can come back to it the next day and immediately have something to feed off of, even if it might take me somewhere entirely different 5 minutes later. It's good to just know as soon as you start that you have something to finish. And so when I came to my keyboard on Wednesday, I realized that I didn't really have any idea where I was going from there. I could have forced myself to do it, but I decided, you know what, I'm gonna give myself a day, and I'm not going to worry about it. So Wednesday, 0 words for that day. Thursday was a relatively unremarkable day in terms of word count. I got 1,557 words in that day, but in terms of actual story progression, it was pretty notable because I started and got pretty deep into writing Rowan, my main character's darkest moment, which is what spurred on my video last Friday. That was why I didn't get as many words that day, because it was something I wanted to be very careful about and give a lot of importance to each word that I wrote, rather than just kind of word vomiting things on the page, which you often do in NaNoWrimo. So that was my Thursday, and then on Friday I continued kind of working on that darkest moment and getting into some of the fallout from the darkest moment once I had kind of completed that scene as far as I cared to in this first draft at least. And that was purely a result of doing a live sprint show, a live write-in, if you will, with Leah from Where in the World is Leah Jane and the other co-hosts from the Writers in Progress chats that we then did on Saturday. So we did some sprints then, and I got another 1,500 words. I don't know the exact amount. I will put it on the screen somewhere. And so that was what we did on Friday. That was the only writing that I did get done on Friday because I just had other stuff going on. That then led into Saturday, which was the actual date of the live show, which was super fun. Thank you to everybody who came out and talked with us in the chat. It was a really fun experience, and I just really enjoyed talking about books with you guys. That was mostly Saturday, so it got to be pretty late on Saturday, and I realized that I hadn't written anything, but I didn't want to lose my streak on NaNoWrimo, and I didn't want to have another day that was completely just wasted. So very late into the night, I wrote just like 500 words, a little less than 500 words. Again, I'll put it on the screen somewhere, but I just wanted to get something out so that I could get my word count in for the day, even if it was not nearly as many words as I usually strive to get done. So that was Saturday. That then leads us into Sunday, in which I realized that I was very behind on my word count. I think I was like 5,000 words under the recommended word count rate. And I was not a happy camper. I realized that I was going to need to really pull in a ton of words, and I needed to do it fast so that I didn't keep accumulating missing words. And so I guess I just chose Sunday to be that day for me. I got 3,748 words in that day. I could have pushed myself to write the full 4,000, and I was actually planning on doing that because I realized that I had only like 250 more words to write, and I could have gotten to that point. But I had been writing at that point all day. I went outside to write, I wrote in the office, I wrote upstairs, I wrote everywhere, and it was just really like taking a mental toll. And for me to be writing stuff that took a lot of my just emotional availability out of me, I needed to let myself stop. And at that point it was also late into the night, and so I just realized, you know, I'm gonna give myself a pass on this one. And so I decided to just quit writing for the day and then come back to it fresh on Monday. Yesterday was a terrible writing day until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I got up in the morning, I was ready to write, I was looking at the page, and I just could not force myself to give a crap about writing at that point. I was experiencing what I lovingly call a writing hangover, where you just push yourself so hard the day before, and it just really takes a toll on you to the point where you aren't excited to write the next morning. And that hasn't happened to me in a long time, and this is the first time that it's happened this NaNoWrimo term, but it hit me full force yesterday, let me tell you. So I was just searching for something to write the whole time, and finally what gave me kind of my big break was that I was thinking about some of the stuff that we talked about during the live show for Writers in Progress, and one of the things that I brought up was thematic representation, because the two books that I had read, the Stephen King and then John Truby's book as well, they deal with theme very differently. Stephen King says that you should just write the thing and then let the themes develop once you kind of take a step back and look at the thing as a bigger picture. And Truby believes that you should have theme in mind before you ever put pen to paper. I wanted to kind of take what they were saying and at least start to think about some of the themes that are in my story, even the ones that are very small or the ones that are kind of more overarching over the whole story. So I decided to give myself some words to just write some notes to myself. So in my Scrivener document, I have the manuscript, but up at the top, right before the first chapter, I have 3 different folders. I have my jigsaw puzzle pieces where I write things that are coming later chronologically. I have my cutscenes piece where I take the things that I have written before that I realize I need to delete, but I don't want to completely sacrifice my word count. And I also like to keep my cutscenes just in case they make a comeback somewhere later in the plot, or if I decide to change the change I already changed. And then thirdly, I have an ideas for edits document, and that is where I literally just write notes to myself where I come up with some more overall picture things that I might want to change in the next draft. And so I went into that folder, which I have not really used much this NaNoWrimo, and I decided to kind of write out what I believed, at least so far, the themes were and what the heck I was trying to say with the way that those themes were playing out in my story. And so that gave me like 300 words, so call it cheating if you want. I don't consider it cheating. And so I used those words to kind of surge me forward, and by doing that, I actually gave myself the motivation to get back into the actual manuscript and start writing. So I did do that. I fleshed out some scenes that I'd written a couple days ago. That really helped me to kind of get back in the zone. A lot of times once I get really in the zone, I start writing pure dialogue and I don't write any kind of descriptors. And so I realized that some of those times it was good that they didn't really have any descriptors because it was a very fast-paced conversation. And other times it was not a good idea for there to be no descriptors because you have no idea who's talking, you have no idea. And I had to kind of remind myself who the heck is in this conversation. So that is what I did yesterday on Monday. And so finally at that point around 2 o'clock, I finally got myself through and I was actually able to write quite a few words yesterday. I ended up with 2,547 words for yesterday, which is very good. I'm honestly surprised that I got that many, considering how grueling it was for me to get started. So maybe there is something to be said for kind of forcing yourself to get the words in sometimes, but getting into it through some of those more big picture, just kind of talking to myself, writing out my thoughts as they came, and letting those fuel the story rather than me just trying to jump straight into the story and just pick up where I left off. That was really helpful, and maybe it will be helpful for you too, to know that that is a thing you can do. So that was yesterday, and then now here we are today, and I am still behind, obviously, but I'm not as far behind as I was before. I have about 400 words-ish, I think, until I hit 30,000 words in my NaNoWrimo journey. It'll be like way past 80,000 words in the actual manuscript, but so that is what I am going to be working on today. I'm going to hit that 30,000 probably after the first real sprint, and then we are going to just kind of see where the rest of the day takes us. Like I said, very late start to the morning. It's already like noon now, so I don't think I'm going to get like 2,000 words in today like I did last time, but I will aim to get at least 1,000 today. So without further ado, I'm going to go make some coffee and I will meet you downstairs. Can't eat mulch. I apologize. Alright, so it is pretty much exactly noon, so I am going to do about a 10-minute warm-up / sprint, and then I will check back in with you after I am finished with that, and we can get into some longer sprints at that point. But other side note for today is that while I am in the office, I am actually writing on my laptop because I recently transferred over my entire Scrivener document over into my laptop. I usually work on my desktop, as you guys know if you've watched these videos before, but because of the things that I've been doing lately, like the Writers in Progress chats and specifically the live write-ins that we were doing, it's just a little bit easier for me to have my whole document on my laptop for now, at least for the next week or so. So until I get bored and want to switch it back over to my big desktop computer, I am going to be writing on my laptop for today. So that means that my writing is a little bit more portable, so we might leave the office once or twice today. We'll see, but just keep that in mind that I am writing on my laptop and not my desktop today. So that little warm-up sprint actually went very well. I didn't realize until coming down here, but I thought I was like 400, 500 words off from reaching 30,000 in my total Word document, but I actually was only like 100 words off. So I have now, just in my little warm-up, reached 30,000 words for the day, which is a nice little boost to my motivation for the rest of the day. But not only that, but I got 369 words during that little warm-up, and usually when I warm up, I don't actually get a lot of words in, but I did stop in the middle of a scene yesterday, which, as I mentioned in the intro, I really benefit from stopping in the middle of a scene, in the middle of a sentence, in the middle of a piece of dialogue. And in this particular case, one character was speaking and I stopped like right where he had kind of just started to say what he was about to say. So I knew exactly where I was coming in today, which is great. So I was able to just really kind of go from there. So that is my first 10 minutes, whatever. I am now going to do a 20-minute sprint to get me a little bit more words in, and then I will check back in with you after that. Alright, so I had to come upstairs because the lawn guy showed up, and so I figured that it would be too loud and already echoey in that office, so since I have all of my stuff on my laptop now, I figured I would just pop up here and do some more sprints up here instead of subjecting us all to the loud noise of people outside and the echo of my voice in that office. So I did finish that first 20-minute sprint down there because who cares if it's echoey in the room when I'm not talking to myself? So I did get that first 20 minutes in. I got 573 words in, which is pretty good for 20 minutes. I am basically working on a scene where the characters are traveling, and so I'm flirting with the idea of having the characters do this kind of travel montage thing, but be flashing back to a previous conversation that happened a couple nights ago, because that way I can potentially kill two birds with one stone and have the plot progress literally forward as they are marching towards this other place, but also have the more kind of sit down and chat moments that get a lot of the character development in there. So I'm trying to meld those two things together. So far it's going well, except I think I'm going to have to go back and add another little, like a little blurb of the present moment back in there somewhere, because as conversations often do, the conversation that I started talking about has now devolved into a different conversation entirely. Like, they're talking about two different topics. So it's kind of weird for Rowan to be remembering that and then just happen to remember the entire rest of the conversation after it's lost its relevance to the current moment. So instead, I'm going to kind of pop back into the present and then jump back into the flashback once she has another thing that reminds her of, oh, that other half of the conversation. So that's what I'm going to try to do in this next sprint, so we shall see how I do. But yeah, so I am going to do that, and then I will check back in with you in a minute. So that is the second 20-minute sprint done. I got 508 words this time, so just a little bit less than last time, which is not too shabby. Pretty happy with that. And as far as what I'm actually writing about, again, pretty much the same scene. I am going back now, trying to add in a little bit of the present moment, and then having her think of something that is going to then take us back to the flashback. So we'll see how this is going to go in the second draft, because I don't know, hopefully it flows well since I'm really writing it kind of out of order. I did jump ahead and write something that I want to happen later than that, so kind of all over the place right now, but to be all over the place and still get 500 words, pretty good. So I am actually about to leave now. The day has kind of gotten away from me. I did say that we got a pretty late start to the morning. That is pretty much where I'm at. I have to leave in like 20 minutes. Great. So I'm just going to do a 10-minute like kind of cool down sprint, see what I can get. I am still a little bit behind as far as how NaNoWrimo wants me to be along on my word count. So ideally I can get some words in. I don't know how many I am behind. I'm like 300, a little more than 300 words behind. So we are gonna see if I can get 300 words in 10 minutes, and then I will check back in with you after that for a quick little wrap up, and then we shall say adios. Okay, so I have finished my final sprint. I did that 10-minute little kind of cool down thing, and I got 280 words, but when I was about to film this thing and tell you guys about what I had written in those last 10 minutes, I realized that I was only a few words behind of just meeting the recommended word count for the day, so I decided to do an extra 5 minutes and really just flirt with danger there to get up to the official word count for today. So I did get 280 during those 10 minutes, but I got another 90 in the other 5 minutes that I did. So that brings my total word count for today up to 1,820 words for today, which means that my total word count as of today is 31,670 words. So that is pretty great. I think it's literally, yeah. Oh no, I'm 3 words behind. Hold on. I'm going to rectify the situation immediately. Okay. So, new word count. I've written 3 more words, which means that I am exactly on the NaNoWrimo path to success at 31,673 words, which brings my total word count for today up to 1,823 words. So now that we have the accurate results, I am going to go ahead and sign off here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm really enjoying making these writing vlogs, and if you like this video, give it a like, and if you like my content, do subscribe. I make videos every Friday, and also for the month of November, I am making videos every Wednesday as well. I'm making these writing vlogs, so those are almost over now, I guess, because November's almost over. Oh my gosh. So that is going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.